All right, can you guys see my little house here? All right, so we've got our house, but underneath you see the house, we've got the grass here, a little bit of driveway. If you look under your house, can you guys see those? They're kind of little poles. I'm gonna go ahead and open up, good. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the box too, just so you can kind of get a better look at it. I'm a very visual person, so I like to see things. I hope this will let me open. There we go. All right. So when you open up this box, this is actually what could be under our home. I'm not going to go over what the colors are because that's actually part of the patch. That was really loud, I'm sorry. But underneath our homes, we have all of these underground utilities that we have to protect. So whenever we're doing any type of digging, you always want to call 811 so that you can find out what utilities are underground in your yard, by your house. All right, so where is 811? 811 is everywhere. If you were to go visit a friend in California, you could call 811 and they would come, they would send people to come and mark all of those underground utilities that we just saw. And so when I talk about markings, I'm talking about if you are walking around your neighborhood, you might see some colors on the ground, and you might see some letters, you might see different colors. That's what I'm talking about with marking. Okay, and we kind of already talked about the why. Why do we do this? We want to protect those underground utilities. We want to protect the water and natural gas, and of course the sewer. You guys can actually still hear me, right? Good to go? Okay, all right. So we talked about today we're going to focus on homeowners, and we're also going to talk about the care message, okay? So the care message is an easy way for us to remember what to do when we're going to be excavating. And when I'm talking about excavating, I'm also talking about digging. So I might use those terms, you know, back and forth, but what I mean is actual digging. So we have what we call the blue, oh yeah.
Nikki, I'm just going to pause. If I can please get everyone to turn off their video cameras. We're getting someone's desktop screen. I'm not sure who that is, but if you could please turn off your video cameras. Is someone doing a screen share? We need to turn that off. Okay.
It is a really cute picture of whoever.
It is adorable.
Yeah.
Okay. So you moving your mouse around. If you could please turn that off for us. Okay. Yep. So we are figuring this out. We appreciate your patience.
We're all in this together, you guys.
Yes, we are. Doesn't show your name, who this person is. So please turn off your screens. If you're, let's see, I'm going to try to do that. Ashlyn, if you could please turn off your screen. Okay. Let's see. Ashlyn, can you hear us? Nope. Ashlyn is drawing. Okay. Ashlyn, can you please turn off your screen? I apologize, everyone. We're going to have to figure out a different way to do this next time so we don't run into this. Okay.
Again, I think we're doing really good, guys. So, like, seriously.
Great. This is, there we go. Yay. Thank you, Ashlyn. All right. Keep going.
Okay. All right. So I was showing you guys the blue book, which this is the Professional Excavators Manual, and it also has the care message right there on the front. This is based upon the Damage Prevention Act of Virginia, and that is one of my jobs. I actually go around and I speak to professional excavators and homeowners all about the laws that are in here. So if it's not in here, I got to tell you it's in here, guys. So if you have a question today, between hopefully the two, we will find an answer for you. All right. So the care message, we're going to start with the first C, and that is contact. contact 811. So some of the ways that you can actually contact 811 to put in a ticket is to call the numbers 811. We also have two technologies at your disposal. We call the first one LET, which is Location Enhanced Ticket Search. And the second I'm going to talk about today is STAT 2.0. They're both super fantastic. I love both of them equally. So the first one, Location Enhanced Ticket Search, is, I probably should have pulled that up on my phone, but it's actually a website. It's not an app for your phone. You can go to our website, VA811.com, and you will find it under the Homeowners tab. And so what you can do is, it's a great feature. You can look up by a ticket number, by a phone number. You can also open up a GPS on your cell phone, and you can look up active tickets or tickets for the past 30 days there. It's really a very useful tool, especially if you kind of see a neighbor outside, but you don't see any marks. You can have your adult look up to make sure that they have a ticket before they're digging. That's one of my favorite things to do, just to make sure that we're all safe, okay? So that's LET. The second, STAT 2.0, is Single Address Ticket, and it's our second version. So again, this is a website, it's not an app, and the first version was really great. This version we have is probably the coolest ever. So again, you can go to our website, you can go to the Homeowners tab, and you'll actually see STAT 2.0. And from there, what you'll do is a single address ticket. So if you're in a house or a condo, townhouse, you can plug in your address, and it will actually pull up the map of your house. And so let's say you're putting in a mailbox. You can actually put a little mailbox picture right where you want to put your mailbox. And then you tell us exactly what you want your ticket to say. And so again, when I'm talking about your ticket, whenever you call in or if you use STAT 2.0, you actually have a document that tells you what member utilities are going to be notified. So basically what utilities you have, as we saw with the house and the box, that are underground your home or where you're going to be doing your digging. Okay, so that is the contact. So from there, you have to allow the required time for marking. This is the one that I get the most questions on, so we're going to spend a little time here. And again, very visual, so I want to make sure that this is crystal clear for you guys. So I have my handy dandy calendar for this month, all right? Okay. We're actually going to count the days down. So from the time that you call in your ticket, you actually have 15 days. All right, so we have today's date here, which is the 9th. I had to check that a couple of times to make sure it was the right day. So when you actually call a ticket in, you have to wait the required time before you do any type of digging, and that is 3 days or 72 hours. And we're going to talk about this now. So if you call in your ticket anytime today on the 9th, so we'll just say that we're going to call this in at 1 o'clock this afternoon, okay? That ticket doesn't actually go live until the next day at 7 a.m., so on the 10th. I'm just going to put here 7 a.m. And when I mean live, what happens is when you call in that ticket or you put it in STAT 2.0, it actually goes out to those member utilities. Remember, we talked about sewer, we talked about natural gas, we talked about water. So whoever that pings, and we'll kind of discuss on how that works in just a little bit, that's who's going to be notified. And they're going to be notified the next day on the 10th at 7 a.m. All right? So we said that there were 3 days, right? So we're going to count those down. You have 1 and weekends, and national holidays don't count, okay? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 to the 14th. So at 7 a.m., I'm going to put that down here, on the 14th, you should be good to go to dig. There's a couple of things that I want to make sure that we are all extremely clear about, okay? There is a way that these member utilities communicate with you, the homeowner, and professional excavator so that you know it is okay to go ahead and excavate. And it's actually part of the patch, but I'm going to tell you because, again, it's really important. It is called positive response codes, okay? There is a list of positive response codes in multiple places. This blue book that I told you has everything has those positive response codes, all right? And then you can also go to our website for the most up-to-date positive response codes, all right? So we said we've got the 3 days, all right? But your
Nikki,
ticket
can I
life,
just interrupt for a second? I
sure.
apologize. Girls, there's a couple of you that are dancing around, and we appreciate that you're happy. Could you please turn off your video cameras? We'd really appreciate it. Omri and Sahili and David, please turn off your video cameras. Thank you. Okay, go ahead. They'll get there.
All right, so your ticket, once it's been cleared, is live for 15 days. So we're going to count from the 9th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so on the 30th, on the end of the month, you should have your work done by then. Okay, I just want to show you, again, we call that ticket in today on the 9th, but we have to wait until what day? The 14th, right here at 7 a.m. before we do any type of digging, okay? But before we even do any type of digging, we also have to make sure that those positive response codes come back and that they're clear, all right? And if you ever put in a ticket and you have any questions about those codes and you just want to double check, you can always call 811 and they will be more than happy to walk you through that, okay? All right, so that's allowing the time for marking. The next is we want to respect the marks, okay? These marks are really important, all right? And I want to stress that. So if you're walking by somebody's house and you see these really cool paint marks in the yard, don't mess them up. Or if you happen to see some flags that are colored, we don't want to pull those up, okay? That tells us that there is an underground utility there, all right? We want to make sure that we're going to respect all of those marks, okay? And the last is we're going to excavate carefully. So that means we're going to take all of the precautions to make sure technical difficulties, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay. So just to backtrack, we have the excavate carefully. All right. So we have what we call the tolerance zone. From where those marks are placed on the ground, you have 2 feet on either side to actually do your excavation. So the locators, who are the people who put paint on the ground, really do their best to make sure that that line is right on top of the utility. But they can't always guarantee with 100% that it is right there, which is why we have that tolerance zone. 2 feet either side. So one of the easy ways that I like to remember it is on the mark, 2 feet either side. Okay, so one of the things, I feel like we don't really have too much time left, so I want to make sure that I get all of the really important stuff down, and we've definitely covered a lot of that. But there is one other really important safety thing that I want to share with you. So if you happen to see some utility vehicles, a lot of times you'll see Dominion Energy, you'll see VNG, Columbia Gas. They're just a couple, they're not all of them. You may see a work truck, and it may have some cones on either should be the front of the truck or the work vehicle and the back of the truck. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of show, and I'm sorry it's on a phone, but can you guys see those cones? Okay, that's what we call the circle of safety. Okay, this is also very important. The circle of safety, they put the cones in the front and the back of the truck as soon as they get out, because as soon as they get back to their work truck, they walk the entire way around the truck. They want to make sure that they're not going to hit anything, or that there is not a bike behind there, or, you know, heaven forbid, a person. So please, if you see a vehicle that has cones in the front and in the back, please don't play with them. They also play a very important role within safety within our industry. All right, so I know that that's kind of been a little quick. Do we have a little more time or not really? little bit of time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just go over some of the ticket types that we have and a little bit of mapping, and then we can go ahead and wrap this up, because if you want to complete this patch, there's a lot of different resources for you that I want to go over. So the ticket types that we have are normal tickets. Those are the ones that pretty much everyone uses. When you call in and you get your ticket, you may see where it says normal. It's just an everyday run-of-the-mill ticket. And from there, we have updating and remarking tickets. And there is a difference between the two, so I want to make sure that we all understand. So a remarking of the ticket is if you have a ticket, it's active and live within those 15 days like we did on the calendar, you can call anytime for a remark. And that's if the line or if the paint on the ground has been messed up from weather, or if somebody did come and pick up those flags and they were naughty. Not a good thing, but you can always call somebody out to remark. Please do not guesstimate or, oh, I remember exactly where those are. You may remember with some accuracy. We want to make sure that you're 100% accurate. The way you do that is by calling us 811 and requesting a remark for your ticket. You can also update your ticket. So let's say that you've called in your ticket and you have your 15 days, but something happened and you didn't get around to doing all of the work that you wanted to do in your yard, or maybe your mailbox that you ordered was back ordered. So what you can do is you can call in an update 3 days before the ticket expires, and that's the only time you can call it in. So what we're going to do is we're going to backtrack here. So our ticket expires on the 30th. We're going to go back 3 days. 1, 2, 3. You would need to call in an update for your ticket on the 27th of that month. If you miss that window, it's okay. You can always call in a new ticket. But if you happen to remember and you're able to, really calling in that 3 days before for that update is super helpful for everyone. All right. So a lot of questions that I normally get asked are, how do we know where these member utilities are? So there is something called GIS mapping that you may be a little familiar with. And basically, it's the geographical information system. Sorry, that's a tongue twister. And so what happens is we get data from counties and municipalities with your lots or your parcels. So your house is on what we call a parcel. And then our member utilities, when they are actually laying down their pipes, they give us their GIS mapping, or they can go into our system and map it themselves. And we prefer GIS mapping because it is more accurate. And from there, again, VNG, Columbia Gas, the City of Chesapeake Sewer, they all give us that GIS mapping so that we know exactly where your underground utilities are. And one more visual thing that I want to show you is some of the actual pipes. So this is from my friends at Virginia Natural Gas, VNG, and this is one of theirs. This is not used, but this is one of their pipes. And so I want to show you, this is a plastic PVC pipe, okay? The natural gas would actually go through. Now, with this type of pipe, because it is PVC piping, it actually goes with a tracer wire. So if you can see here, there is actually metal within this wire, and that is how the locators are able to use their equipment to find the ground's underground. So if you kind of think about the locator who's putting the paint on the ground, they're finding those lines with a really fancy technical, to make it easy to think about, metal detector. So like something you take to the beach and you try and find some extra change with, that's kind of the equipment that you're using, a little better technology, all right? So what can happen if you don't call 811? So this is a pipe that has been used, and a professional excavator actually damaged this pipe. This had natural gas in it, okay? So you can see they actually took what we call mechanized equipment. The actual excavator dug down and pulled this up and ripped this pipe apart. Okay, this is the reason why we want you to call, guys. All right, and also too, sometimes you may just kind of swipe it a little bit, right? You can see right here, it's not that it's been damaged or it's been cut in half, but what has happened is we call the integrity of the pipe, okay? That has been compromised. And so this pipe actually had to be replaced. Again, it didn't have a hole in it, but the integrity was compromised. Okay, so make sure I get over my handy dandy list. So from here, I've kind of covered all the things I wanted to. Again, it's a very, very broad overview of 811 and some of the things that we do, all right? If there is anything of interest, especially for some of the older girls that we have, we could possibly do some sort of JS mapping info session at some point. Again, I am your Eastern rep. If you have any questions, of course, I'm always here to answer them. I do want to talk about a couple of technologies that we have at your disposal. The first one is really our website. Our website has a lot of great information. I'm going to give you a helpful hint here. Our website has a lot of the information for you to actually complete the patch, okay? Again, the homeowner tab is a really great tab for you. There is also a video that was created by Common Ground Alliance, and they kind of partner with all of the 811s in every state. It's really a fun video. It kind of explains a little bit more, and I can get that link to Gretchen, and maybe she can post that somewhere. It is also on our Facebook page, which is VA811. And the last thing that I have, brand spanking new, just came out yesterday. It's so new, I haven't even had a chance to check it out myself, but I hear it's really cool. And it is by Virginia Natural Gas, one of our members and one of our major stakeholders. And they have what they call a damage prevention arcade. And so I believe it's 8 or 9 sessions, and you can complete that, and then you can actually get a certificate at the end. So again, brand new, very exciting information. So with that, I think we're probably to the Q&A time.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. That was fantastic. I learned a lot. All right, so girls, now is your turn to ask Nikki some questions. So in the chat log, I appreciate y'all saying hello to each other. Right now we want to focus on what questions do you have of the things that she shared with us today.
And
so
it
if
is
you had
almost,
questions about,
I know we've gone a little over, and I apologize. Thank you for hanging in there with me.
it's fine. We're going till 12. We're good. We're good. All right. So, do you have questions about the pieces that she shared today? Here's one. A question about the calendar. Ticket days start before the date you can actually dig. And it also includes weekends and holidays, but we can't count those days for our start time. So some questions about weekends and holidays and how that factors into the calendar.
Okay, great. So within that waiting period of really that 72 hours, weekends and federal holidays don't really count, okay? So for all intents and purposes of not starting to dig, so we don't want you to do anything. Again, we call that ticket in today, nothing for those 72 hours, so until the 14th, and that does include a weekend. So let's say you wanted to, put your mailbox in on a weekend. You would want to make sure to call earlier in the week so that that ticket is clear. Now, there are 2 exceptions to that, and you have to really make sure, and this is one of those where if you're unsure, please make sure to call. The first one is if you actually call 811, you speak to one of our damage prevention specialists, you give them your address, all of that good stuff, and they come back and say, wow, the area that you're digging in doesn't have any member utilities. You are clear to dig. Now, if you're living in a home, that more than likely is not going to happen. Okay, that's really more for areas that are kind of being developed. All right. The second way that you could dig before that 72 hours is up, if you check your ticket, all of those codes come back and they're clear, then you can go. Then you can actually excavate. But until then, you have to wait that 72 hours. Did that answer all of the questions? Because there were multiple questions within that. Okay, great.
All right. So there's other ones that have come in. Just give me 1 second. Okay. All right. Is a 15-day window to complete the job due to the assumption that paint markings will have worn off that time? Or what is the reason for limiting the amount of time you have to complete a job? What would be consequences for doing the work outside that window?
Okay. So the reason why there is the 15 days, part of the reason is the marking. So I'm just going to give you my personal example. So I had Terminix come and actually install termite traps. They called 811 for me. So that's another thing. If you're working through an organization like Terminix, one of the questions I asked was, will you be calling 811? And they said yes. So I knew that I didn't need to. So within about 13 days, because I knew this question was going to come up, so I actually counted those marks between the weather, all of the rain, and also mowing my yard were gone. So for us, that is what we have found, and that also is the law.
Okay. All right. So the question is, what do you do with old pipes that are broken or worn down?
Okay, really great question. So the pipes that are worn down, broken, obviously you can't use those again, kind of like the one I showed you, where I'm going to call it got nicked, okay, because it wasn't, again, there's no hole, but it has been compromised, become examples that I get to use in presentations like this. Also, organizations, we are actually required to keep our tickets for 7 years. And so I know, and I don't know the time frames that the utilities have, so I apologize for that, but I do know that they are required to keep those damaged pipes for X amount of years.
Okay. And a couple questions about the website. So yes, on the sign behind Nikki, that is the website for more information. Thank you for having that up. And like she was saying, there's lots of great information on there. Why are the pipes different colors in the model you showed?
Oh, sorry, one more time.
Why are the pipes different colors in the model that you showed?
Oh, that's a really great question. And as much as I would love to answer that for you, that is actually one of the pieces within the Discover portion of the patch. So I'm going to refer you to our website. So I answered, but sort of didn't answer. There's a reason for that, though, I promise.
That just means there's an opportunity for girls there. Definitely, yes. Okay, some of these are duplicates. Okay, let's do one more check. There, you got some just from the DS mapping, so we can talk about something around that. All right. What happens if a pipe breaks when you're working on it?
Okay, that is probably a better question for some of my utility friends to give you a more accurate answer. But I'll go ahead, since the question was asked, I'm going to talk about some of the utilities that are we don't want to damage any utility. Okay, I'm going to put that out there. Some, if they're damaged, have worse consequences than others. If you and I were actually sitting across from each other or in person, I would have a little sniff test for natural gas. It kind of smells like rotten eggs, which everybody nods but wants to smell anyway. So if you happen to smell something like that, you would need to immediately leave the area and call 911. And that is an emergency ticket. Did that answer the question?
Yes.
What would they do? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why you call the experts. So they know what they're doing. So don't dig without doing that. So we've got about 15 minutes or so left. So I wanted to ask Nikki if you would please share your big announcement with the group.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited, you guys. Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for. So one of the things that my organization wanted to do, first of all, again, thank you for attending. We're super excited to be sharing the message. And we have decided to host and sponsor a contest. So what we are doing is for 5 girls to complete all of the patch requirements before the 29th, because we want to go ahead and announce a winner on the 30th. I don't think I shared with you, April is National Safe Digging Month. Okay, so one of our initiatives for Safe Digging Month was to sponsor this contest. So 5 girls who complete the patch, not only the patch requirements, but there is kind of a sort of catch to it. You also have to have either you, if you have social media, or your grown-up, ask them to take a picture of you completing one of these tasks for the patch, whether that's you at your computer learning about some of these things, like why there are different color pipes in the example, or walking around. This is my favorite one. I love to see this, is when you're actually walking outside. Of course, we want to make sure that, you know, we're keeping safe and healthy. That's the most important thing. But if you see lines that are on the ground, take a picture with them and go ahead and have your grown-up post them. You have to tag us at VA811 and then also hashtag us at VA811GSCCC. So you have to complete the patch requirement. You have to take a picture and upload it of you doing one of those tasks, and make sure to tag and hashtag us. So there's 3 pieces to that. What can you win? I knew that was the question that you wanted to know. So we have a swag bag, and I'm not going to tell you what's in it, but it's some really good goodies from myself and from some of our stakeholders. But a bag full of goodies, and again, there are 5 of these. We are actually going to pay for your patch. Okay, so you can win the bag full of goodies and your patch paid for. Okay, so again, this is the tag and the hashtag. And I'll also go ahead and put this up on our Facebook page later on this afternoon, so that you have all of the instructions there too. Okay, so it's just va811.com. You can go ahead and like our page. That way you can kind of keep up with us, and of course the winners too. So.
That's so exciting. So basically, girls, this is your opportunity, if you have not done so already, to complete the Virginia 811 patch and do get your parent or caregiver's permission to take a picture of you completing a portion of the patch. And then tagging it on social media if you have your caregiver's permission. And then we will do a drawing of all the folks that submit the form, which I'll give you in a little bit. We'll draw 5 names to win the swag bags and the free patch. So thank you, Nikki, for you all doing that for our girls. We're very excited to have that opportunity for get the free patch and a swag bag for 5 girls. So for those of you who've already completed the patch, you too can put your name in the hat for that as well. What I'm going to do this afternoon is send you an email with all the details and the form to enter once you've completed the patch. Remember, this is on your honor, so only enter once you have actually completed the patch requirements. And some of those Nikki referred to today, and some of them she referred you to her website to get. And these are things that you can do from home. So thank you so much, Nikki, for doing that. What'd you say?
You're welcome. Remember, you've already done one under Connect, which was hanging out with me today.
That's right.
So it's a no-brainer. Go ahead and knock out the rest of them, guys. And there's this contest. It's going to be fun.
Awesome. And also, we got a question of where do you get the patch requirements? So that is on the Girl Scouts of Colonial Coast website. So that's gsccc.org. And you can go to the Just For Me page. If you just type in Just For Me in the search engine, or if you look at the banner that scrolls across the top that says Just For Me, that will take you there, and it has our Explore patches. it's also under our program section that has the community partner patches. So I will send you that link as well, but it is definitely on our website, and you'll see it also on our social media posts. We'll post that later today as well, or tomorrow, depending on when I can get up there. So thank you, Nikki, so much for taking the time for our girls today. And if if you have other questions, feel free to get your caregiver to send that into customercare@gscc.org, so we can get those questions answered, Nikki or myself. And thank you so much for your time today. Y'all have been rocking it out. We're so excited to have you join us in this way. And thank you for your patience as we figure this all out. This is our first time doing a virtual event. And we're going to try to make some tweaks based on what we learned today. So we appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed the presentation. Nikki, you want to say goodbye?
Yes, bye. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate being here. If there's anything that I can do for you, let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Y'all have a
Bye.
good rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next one. So stay tuned for more events.